But then again, Mwesh, I don't know which one is sitting you better, but I'll sometime call you Mweshimiwa. It feels good.
Thank you.
But then, guys, this guy had vied for a senatorial position in Migori County. And now let's get into some politics, kidogo, because I know this area also interests you. I don't know where we should begin from, but east or west, or Mr. Best. Let's begin from home. You're from Migori.
No, of course.
And Migori pia kuna issues. In the recent past, actually, you guys mlirushia President Kiatu.
Okay.
What's your take on that, briefly?
It's a very unfortunate turn of events, especially the one that happened in Kehancha, Migori at the time. But again, it was a very successful presidential tour.
Okay.
I would say that as a member of the UDA party, I'm a member of the UDA party, a proud member. And even currently we have our grassroots elections going on. Just took a short break to come to, but then again, I would say that later on after investigations, it was found that that was a mere accident. It was not meant to happen the way it happened.
Mheshimiwa Marwa said someone was just trying to also have fun in filming.
That's why I'm saying it was a mere accident, because when somebody made fun of filming the president and the guy at the guy on his back decided to tap him, and then the shoe left and touched
to fly.
The president. I think the presidential security moved so swift, but once they investigated and realized that it was not something that put the life of the president at risk, waliamua kuachilia yule jamaa.
Okay, I think that's good news. And now,
speaking of the presidential visit, I would say watu wamezoea kusema eti President Ruto ni mwongo, yeye ni kasongo, mara one term, mara nini, must go. Unaona? Recently alikuja akasema stadium naanza kujenga. Tayari tendering ya Migori Stadium 700 million shillings. Ishaiko chini, engineer anakuja kuanza kazi. Bado nataka kumuita kaongo.
No, people like to see. I mean, it's easier said than done.
No, everything, government
There was a road that was launched, the one connecting in Suna East, actually, in the previous visit. How is the progress? You are from there.
The progress of the road. It was the engineer that took a break. The engineer is coming back. That is what you had the president say that. You had Junet Mohammed say that.
We love seeing, we don't love hearing.
No,
but anyway,
if the tendering process of the stadium is already on course,
okay,
what about just a mere road?
Okay, let's leave that with the presidential visit. But now again, Migori politics generally. You had been in this politics and you are maybe still lying. Are you still lying?
Definitely, I'll be in the ballot in 2027.
Same position?
Yeah, senatorial seat.
Okay,
but right now, my focus is in the UDA party, and of course, trying to strengthen the party at grassroots levels.
Sawa.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
Migori, tumeona not so long ago kumekuwa na issues sana za violence in Migori, especially involving top politicians or top leaders from Migori.
Yeah, sure.
What would you say about this, and then political tolerance? How best can it be addressed so that politicians usije ukawana kwamba if your opponent is here, you send goons to maybe interfere with their gatherings?
Let me tell you something. Politics has two angles.
Okay.
There's the angle of supremacy and there is the angle of leadership and service delivery.
Okay.
So as far as service delivery is concerned, there has to be what you call a bit of a small opposition to ensure that, county governments are held accountable of what they're doing.
Okay.
If you just leave Governor Chilo to do what he wants to do within Migori County, I don't think we'll wake up and have a county tomorrow.
Okay.
But at the same time, I would also call for sanity so that as we correct Governor Chilo in different areas within which he's not doing well, we do it in a nice manner so that devolution is not interfered with.
Maybe someone is sleeping in the job, because when you talk about correcting, I think this role should be played by the senator who sees what the county government is doing. When someone else comes and starts seeing the loopholes in the county government, it means someone who should be doing the job is sleeping. I
don't want to earmark the senator just because I'm also vying for the Senate.
Okay.
But there are different occasions where the Senator Eddie Okech has come out and said, Governor Chilo, you're not doing this right, you're not doing this right, you need to change this, you understand.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that the Senate is against the governor or the governor is untouched. it adds up to the normal running of county governments.
Okay.
That is what we call oversight. One of the basic and primary roles of a senator. Yeah, sure. So I would say that Governor Chilo has what we call opponents, with whom he's running for the seat of 2027 gubernatorial race, Migori. But for him, you see, he's the incumbent and he wants to maintain another term.
Yeah.
So there has to be that push and pull.
Okay.
Exactly.
So is it just okay to pull and push until we see maybe lives being lost?
I would not recommend that lives are lost because people are looking for power. No. But then again, in the process of getting power, some of these things have to happen. So it's us citizens who have to decide that, do we want to participate in this or not? Hakuna mtu anakuja kwa nyumba yako na kutoa tu uende ulete vurugu kwenye siasa. Ni wewe unaamua kama unataka kuleta amani ama unataka kuleta siasa. But then again, the seat of governor is let me say it's highly coveted. So hakuna venye Governor Chilo atapata tu second term hivyo virahisi. Lazima kuwe na kitu naitwa mvurutano kidogo, ndio hata yeye juu akipata hiyo second term anataka kuitumia vizuri. We have people like Mark Nyamita kwa hiyo system. We have people like
of which Nyamita is
Masara kwa hapo kwa hiyo system. We have people like we have so many guys ambao wanataka governor Migori ambao they have to give Chilo a run for his time or money.
Okay.
That is the political bit of it.
When we talk about political violence, normally it comes that the youth are actually so much involved because you don't see the leaders holding each other's shirts or whatever. It is their supporters. Our youth, are we still being used by politicians, and how can maybe, as now from a young person perspective, you are still a young person, in as much as you are vying for a very big position.
Sure.
How can we end that violence among the youth and being used by politicians? I mean, things just have to stop at some point.
Speaking of being a youth, you see, I'm a peace ambassador.
Okay.
In one way or the other within Migori County, because I don't think if I've ever joined any politician in Migori for the sake of causing violence or being engaged in extremist activities. I'm one guy who can take tea with Governor Chilo yako very comfortably.
Okay.
And then tomorrow I'm on the same table with Mark Nyamita. It doesn't mean that I'm doing what you call a political brokery. Okay. No, I'm trying to be a good example to
political prostitution.
Yeah, actually, they call it political prostitution. That is not my point. My point is, as a youth, I'm entitled to get whatever I can get from within Migori County or from within Uriri constituency or within my own constituency very comfortably without necessarily having to say, this is an opponent. I should not be able to talk to them.
Okay.
Yes. I can stay here without a blink that I have worked with the government, Dr. Chilo yako before. I have done certain assignments for the county government, of course, as a politician, sometimes as an MC, as an artist, of course. And I would also say that I've also shared certain platforms with Mark Nyamita on basic issues that are affecting the youth of Migori County. Both of them are good leaders, but 2027 we are going to get one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now, maybe as we move around Nyanza slightly, what will you tell the youth from Migori? Because maybe this youth look up to you as a peace ambassador, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, as someone they should expect as their leader.
Okay.
Maybe your message to Migori youth.
My message to Migori youth is that let us be people who are, skill-based. If you have a skill, try and use it so that we don't have issues of going to politicians to seek for handouts. Or be a peace ambassador like myself, or engage yourself in meaningful political activities that actually can bear fruits of development and fruits of prosperity.
Okay.
Yes.
Migori is part of the entire Nyanza region.
True.
And generally, I want you to speak your mind about what you see in Nyanza leadership and politics. From Siaya, Kisumu to Homa Bay, and Migori you've touched.
Just like I said, I'm a member of the United Democratic Alliance Party. And this is a party ambayo inapenda kazi na tunachapa kazi. Unanipata?
Haisikizi ground.
Yes, tunasikiza ground. That is why tunasema tunachapa kazi. Unakumbuka wakati Gen Z wamefanya mambo yao, sisi tumerudi tukafanya ukarabati, na right now things are really moving.
Okay,
you understand?
I hear you.
And that is why I continue saying, without fear of favor of being contradicted, that if you look at the kind of leadership that Dr. Raymond Omollo is instilling in the youth of Nyanza, it is a different fashion of leadership.
Okay.
I wouldn't call it politics because he's not a politician. But look at the way he wants the youth to live their life.
Peaceful.
You understand? First of all, this is a guy who values education. This is a guy who values talent nurturing and promotion. You understand? This is a guy who right now is really involved in what we call drug and substance abuse eradication.
Do you think his style of leadership is what is angering some leaders from Luo Nyanza?
It is angering some leaders from Luo Nyanza because the people who are hell-bent on using us as tools to get to power, and then later on, we remain at the bottom where we are. That is what that is what causes unemployment. What does unemployment cause?
You will be used as a rogue in a politician's
You'll be used
rally.
as a rogue at a rally. No, you understand my point. That is not what Dr. Raymond Omollo wants. But you see, people might not like that fashion of politics because everybody thinks that he's becoming a threat to a certain clique of people who have been in the game for some time.
Anatoa, they say, is opening the ears.
He's opening the ears of the youth from Nyanza region. That is what Dr. Raymond Omollo is doing. Yeah. You understand?
Yeah.
And that is why I would also hail other politicians from Migori, people like Honorable Dorothy Otieno, who is the party woman from Migori County, and of course the next MP for Rongo. These are visionary leaders who know that gunship and violence is not the fashion of politics that we want. We want politics of transformation. We want politics of development. We want politics that can change, especially the lives of the youth ambao pia tunaambiwa ndio viongozi wa kesho. Hakuna kesho ni leo.
Okay.
Yeah.
So generally, what do you think of the kind of leadership and the kind of politicians we have from Nyanza region, especially Luo Nyanza?
I want to repeat to you that I wish that all the politicians of Luo Nyanza could emulate the style of leadership of Dr. Raymond Omollo.
Short and sweet.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's also look into a bit of, before we look into something else, let's come to Homa Bay kidogo.
Okay.
Homa Bay kidogo.
Unataka kunipeleka Kasipul?
No. Let Kasipul be.
Yes,
we know Kasipul. Actually, people are vying for Kasipul.
A good number
let's
of...
just touch Kasipul kidogo.
Yes.
Because Kasipul is a bit recent.
Yeah.
In as much as Kasipul is still now mourning and has no one to call their own in the National Assembly.
Their own Manyesi Mungu. They don't have a Manyesi Mungu.
Manyesi wao hawana. So that seat seemed to also have attracted so many, being vacant. And we also saw during the burial a little of push here for the late MP's son to be on the forefront. Actually, somebody said that seat, the chairman for ODM in Kasipul, Mr. Ndege, said the position or the seat is not vacant until 2027. What will you say of such a statement?
I think ODM is playing bad politics on us. Because there's a provision for party democracy. We call it through, if you go to the political parties registrar, we have the Political Parties Act that allows all political parties to fairly, fairly compete. When there is a by-election, it is a by-election. It's not a coronation of a particular leader. I love the fact that, Boyd Were, who is a son to the late, is a young man just like myself. And I would not wish to come in between him and his dream. Okay. It is his dream that comes first before the constituency.
Okay.
But the fear that the people of Kasipul have is that Boyd Were could eventually inherit the same system of the father. That is the biggest fear that the people of Kasipul have. So as he campaigns, he should be able to tell us that, you know what, my father's style of politics will be different from my own style of politics. Moving forward, we don't want to hear cases of what? Violence within Kasipul. Because as an MP, you're in charge of education, you're in charge of security.
And other development.
Hizi vitu zinaanza na wewe. Usalama inaanza na wewe. Sasa wewe kama mbunge unafaa kutuambia kwamba mimi katika eneo bunge langu sitaki kuja itokee vita ama kuja itokee mtu kuumizwa ama kuuawa kwa sababu ya siasa.
Sorry for cutting you short, but we've seen previously when some positions like if my memory serves me right, I think our senator for Homa Bay,
yes.
Senator
Kajwang, yes.
I think he was also just honored when we experienced the death of the late Kajwang. the other Kajwang?
One thing you need to know is that the case of Kajwang is quite different from the case of Were.
Okay.
Because Kajwang was a dear friend to Raila Amolo Odinga. And not just that.
Were was also a friend. In fact,
Kajwang, I come from Homa Bay also.
You see,
Kajwang was a hype man for the ODM party. So he was loved without measure. I don't know if you understand. But Were has died at a time when there are also souls that are bleeding within Kasipul. That is the difference. There were no souls that were bleeding within Homa Bay. Definitely within Homa Bay because Kajwang was a senator. You understand?
Yeah.
Those stories are two different stories. So when Raila talked to the people and asked them if Moses can replace Otieno, the people decided to agree.
We have seen cases.
But for now, there is a lot of fear in Kasipul. I'm not trying to say that ODM should not front for Boyd. ODM have already decided on their candidate. But then again, let them allow for all the other parties also to front candidates, including independent aspirants.
Okay. I came across a clip that showed that the late MP, that is Ongondo Were, made a statement that seemed to be ushering one Nicholas Ogada, I guess.
Yeah.
Nicholas Ogada, or Newton Ogada, not Nicholas, Newton Ogada to take after him.
Okay.
Politicians fronting someone. Is that a motive? Is there a motive behind fronting someone?
You see, the man in which Ongondo Were has left the stage was not actually something that anybody would have preempted.
How will it be? How will it be beneficial or loss to someone fronted by someone who people didn't like? For instance, now the case of Ongondo, people seeing that kind of his style of leadership maybe was not welcomed, and he fronted someone. Will that person find it easy if you're fronted by maybe someone?
Don't believe everything that politicians stand on stage to say. Ongondo Were did not know that he was going to die.
Okay.
An MP does not have a term limit. How would he have fronted anyone?
Maybe he would vie for another position.
If perhaps he was vying for governor, then he would have supported Gladys Wanga for a second term. It means if this Ogada guy could be coming, he'll be coming in 2032. When
governor's term.
If my calculation is okay.
Yeah.
But for now, you see, his life was cut short.
Okay.
Now it becomes the business of the ODM party to field a candidate. And well and good, they have decided to field Boyd Were. But we are telling ODM, allow us also as the UDA party to field a candidate in Kasipul.
Okay.
So that this kind of hypocrisy we think that is within the broad-based outfit, it ceases to exist.
Okay.
So that we know that we have gone to bed with ODM and we are brothers who are eyeing the same what? The same spot.
Okay. So you want to compete.
But zoning Kasipul in the name of ODM, first of all, it denies other aspirants their constitutional right to vie.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
That is my point.
And even the constituents to make a choice. Because not everyone is saying, okay.
Definitely. Let the people make a choice.
Okay.
Exactly. In fact, if I were ODM, I would allow all the ODM candidates to go for a nomination. And we come up with one aspirant. But now that they've decided to give it to Boyd Were, now the part of ODM is closed. Let them allow UDA to field a candidate. Let them allow other independent parties also to do it, to field candidates.
Now that you've mentioned the broad-based government, these politics of being in and being out of broad-based government, and some members feel that those who are not supporting, those who are anti-broad-based government are the issue of tribalism is coming in. Are people who have maybe married outside Luo Nyanza. What would you say about this? Because I remember recently I saw Mheshimiwa Opondo Kaluma, MP for Homa Bay Town, saying that those who are anti-broad-based government are because wamekaliwa chapati, something of that kind. Is there truth in that statement, or what would you say about those who are anti-broad-based government?
I don't want to speak
I don't
want to speak for ODM, but I would speak because I'm still a member of the UDA party, which is also a part of the broad-based outfit. Now, for me, I would say that I don't want to go that direction of Opondo Kaluma, because that one ideally puts our Kikuyu, especially ladies, in a position that I want to put them in. Me, I'm not a tribalist. I can't go the Gachagua way. It is not my thing. But then again, looking at the
talking
kind of
no, let's handle that tribalism thing first. Don't you think politicians are the one fueling tribalism? Because whenever you say them, let us unite Kenya, like you ask, Mimi, I ask, when did Kenyans ever divide themselves? I mean, politicians are the ones who come, we want lengo letu kuu ni kuunganisha wa Kenya. Lengo letu kuu ni kuunganisha wa Kenya. I mean, did we have a Kenya in the middle, Kenya in the south, Kenya in the north, and these people say we are not united, we are not Kenyans? Is it politicians who are fueling tribalism among Kenyans?
The way in which our politics is done has to bring in the aspect of tribalism.
So then you shouldn't call one another a tribalist.
Not to the extent of segregation. Towards unity, that is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
But it is fashioned on tribalism. Do you know why? Because right now, Matiang'i nataka kusimama Kisii, we are yet to know kama anaweza enda aita Wamasai awakalishe chini, kama anaweza enda aita Wakikuyu awakalishe chini, anaweza enda akaita Wajaluo awakalishe chini. Same to President Ruto.
Okay.
We already have Kalenjins. We already have Luos. We already have at least a half of Kikuyus. Now, that is how our politics is fashioned to be. Okay. But now, when it is used to segregate others, now that is when it becomes
tribalistic.
Okay. So we leave the political, the tribalistic aspect of it. Then we go for what we call the unifying factor.
Okay.
Regional balance.
Okay.
Now that is kizungu tamu, tunaleta regional balance. Unanipata?
I get you.
So that we put everybody in government. Unanipata?
Of which we can't also have everybody in government. We can't sample.
In a way, but then when I want to now support Pondo Kaluma in a way, ni kwa sababu pia hawa watu unajua ndio wameoa Wakikuyu na wanawake wako na ushawishi pia kubwa kwa wanaume wao. Sijui kuna nipata. Ni kwamba when you are trying to attract leadership, if you don't have a strong wife, that foundation is broken.
That's why they say behind every successful man.
So wakati Pondo Kaluma anaona hao wake za the leaders ambao wameoa kutoka Mount Kenya, Pondo Kaluma is trying to tell you, you know what, there are people who are sleeping in the mountain, but they're bathing in the lake. You get that kind of scenario in politics.
I see. I hear you.
You hear him clearly. You can hear him clearly.
Yeah.
Yes. You're sleeping in the mountain, but you bathe in the lake. In short, hatujui msimamo wako ni gani. If ODM decided to join the broad-based government in totality, anyone ambaye alikuwa hana lengo la kuingia katika serikali ya William Ruto angejiondoa katika chama cha ODM, manake waliingia kama chama.
Lakini ODM itself has always kept on saying that they are not part of the broad-based government. They just issued or offered their soldiers to help the government.
I want to tell something to ODM. Is that you cannot get into a table where people eat fish. You get the point? Lakini ile mfupa ya samaki ikiingia kwenye koo ya mtu unasema no, I'm not part of hiyo mfupa, but you're part of the fish. That is the kind of politics that ODM is playing on us. We are all dirty. We have all gotten into the mud. We are all washing ourselves from this mud, and we are all coming out clean by 2020. By the end of 2026, so that when we're going to elections in 2027, we are fronting the same agenda.
Why is then everyone getting angry with those criticizing the government, even from this other side of, from ODM? Why can't they just be regarded like any other normal citizen who could just come out and criticize the government? Because if you hear most of these guys who are being taunted for maybe now not supporting because they married outside the Luo tribe, why is it so?
I want to tell you something. In a family, there has to be what we call rivalry. We call it sibling rivalry. So ODM is giving us ODM have their
wengine wajakula, wenye wajakula ndio wanalalamika.
ODM have their own sibling rivalry.
Okay.
It could be necessarily about money, yes, but then again it's about political ambitions.
Okay.
Yeah, there's somebody who feels that they're in ODM to stay, but if they go against government, they will fall into the interest of the people and they'll be voted back in 2027. There are people up to now, they still don't think that Raila Amolo Odinga and William Ruto coming together will not help solve the problems of what? Of Kenyans. But I'll tell them that they will soon be disappointed. Do you know why?
I'm waiting to be
because
disappointed.
Raila and Ruto are going into the ballot. Raila will not opt out.
But we've
I'm
seen
not speaking based on interest.
The national chair for ODM saying they'll front their person come 2027.
No, that was if whatever agenda that we had together is not met.
Okay.
But the kind of a person I know, the caliber of President William Samoei Ruto.
Okay.
Look at how many development projects that have gone to Nyanza ever since Ruto decided to shake hands with Raila. How many projects that didn't used to go to Luo Nyanza?
But then I also think that shouldn't be the case, that you have to be in government is when you have to be considered. I mean, we have a constitution. If that is, then everyone should come into the government for them to get the services and development.
Anytime Raila and government were apart, there was a lot of unrest. True or false?
Which is wrong.
So unity plays a very huge role in national development.
But
so right now, President Ruto amepumua kidogo.
So those who are criticizing the government are not entitled to receive government developments.
It is their democratic right. It is their right to receive development.
And I think that was the right.
But when there is hostility in Nyanza, you as a president, how do you take development to Nyanza?
That's a bit tough. Let's that there. It's going to be a longer one. But then still I feel
But anyway, they're entitled to development based on,
based on
share of the national cake.
Yeah. Because they also contribute.
Yes,
Give back to what I have contributed anyway.